Hello and welcome to part two covering Nutanix database service. If you've not seen part one, I'll include the link in the description below. So go and watch part one first, then come back to this part two. So just to recap what steps were taken in part one, I just want to log into the NDB console. So the first thing that we did, we registered a database server. So this database server was an existing server running on the platform based on a Windows OS with Microsoft SQL Server running. Then we created a software profile. So this software profile based on that source VM that was just registered. Then what we did, we registered the database that was running on that source VM. So in this particular case, it was called SampleDB. Then the final thing we did, we provisioned a new database. And in that example, we created a new database, but we also had the option, and if I just jump back into database server VMs, we also had the option to spin that new database on a new virtual machine. We could have used that virtual machine, the one that we first registered, but in this particular example, we created a new virtual machine. Now, in part two, what I intend to show you is basically just we're going to perform some everyday database administration tasks. So the first thing I want to do is, can I show you? So what I've got, this database server VM, user role 1, Microsoft SQL Server source. So I've already got a remote desktop connection into it. And I just want to show you that if we run up SQL Server Management Studio, and I want to show you that, first of all, I need to log in. So if we expand databases, expand the sample DB, and then if we just have a look at the tables, you'll be able to see an example table that's already pre-installed. Okay, so keep that in mind. What we're going to do next, we're going to create a snapshot. We're going to create a snapshot of that database. All right, so we're protecting it, something that we can roll back if we need to. So if we go into databases and then sources, we're going to select the database. So in this case, we're just going to be playing around with SampleDB. And then what we'll do is we'll go to database actions and then snapshot. We're just going to call that a snapshot name. So I will just call it KM-MS equal -first snapshot. And I'm just going to click create. And then as the previous video, it's going to prompt me to open up the operations. And you can see the create snapshot operation started. So as I did before, I'm going to pause this video and then I'll come back to you once that's done. Okay, so that's the snapshot process complete. Took 2 minutes, 38 seconds. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do, we're going to go through some elements of copy data management. So we're going to clone the database server and database. So again, sticking within NDB, if we have a look at the time machines, and then I'm going to select the database that we want to clone. and then actions, create a database clone, database. Now, if you scroll down, you can actually select the snapshot. So this is the snapshot, the KMS SQL first snapshot. Just going to click next. Now, these are the different, so the options are, we can create a new server, we could use an authorized server. So I am going to create a new server. So if I just get rid of that date and I'll just call it KM underscore server. Select a compute profile for that, and the network profile again, we want to attach to the network. The administrator password we need to put in. Let me just double check that. Yeah, that's okay. And I think what I'll do actually, no, I'll leave that. I'll leave that there. And then we'll click next. And then we're going to clone the name. So I'm just going to suffix that with clone. Sample VM on the VM. So again, I'm just going to put in clone 1 there. And then I think we're ready to just click clone. And here we go. It is prompting me to go back into the operations. Now this is going to take a few minutes. So again, let me pause the video and I will come back once the process is complete. Okay, so that is the clone database operation finished. It took 18 minutes, 23 seconds. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, so this created, as requested, it created a new database server VM. That's the IP address. If we dropped into the control plane, we'll be able to see it. In fact, if I just go into Prism Element, you'll be able to see the different VMs there. And there is my cloned VM there, and there's the IP address. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to open up a remote desktop connection, which I must admit I've just pre-prepared. So I have a remote desktop connection. I'm going to open up SQL Server Management Studio. There it is there. And once this is opened, Windows Authentication, click Connect. Now I'm going to expand the databases. Now remember, this is the clone VM that we're working on. Then we'll go to the database. Then we're going to go to the table view. And that is the external table that we create. Oh, sorry, that is the test table that was pre-created. I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to delete it. Okay, so that is deleted now from the clone VM. With clones, we can refresh the content from the source. So let me show you how to do that. So we're now back in the NDB console. If I go into databases and then select clones from the left-hand side, there's our clone database. And then if we click refresh and then select the snapshot that we took earlier and then click refresh. And again, it's asked us to pop into the operations. And once again, I will pause the video and come back when it's finished. Okay, so that's the refresh operation completed in 1 minute 22 seconds. And now very simply what we need to do is go back into the clone VM, and then we're back into SQL Server Management Studio. We need to right click on tables, click refresh, and there we are. Our test table has returned. Now that concludes this video. In the next video, we'll be looking at patching Microsoft SQL Server. Thank you very much.